Hey guys, HardlyBriefDan here with episode 40 of our Unity Make an RPG series, and today I'm going to start talking about how to create an item database, how to access that database, and how to get those items in your game. This will probably be a couple parts long, so hopefully you enjoy, hopefully you learn something, and hopefully you can use it in your projects, not just in our RPG game, but in your other projects as well. First, though, I want to talk about something I've changed, and it's very simple for you guys to adjust. Maybe you didn't do this, but basically I went around and I was looking through our items before I started recording the video, and at the beginning I added a second type of, or I added this thing called a base stat item, and it inherited from base item. And at first, I thought that was okay, and it might be alright, but it added another layer of complexity to our inheritance, and I decided that I don't need that. We had one item that was a scroll that I said didn't inherit any stats, but a scroll can, and I wanted to leave that option open. So what I did is I actually deleted the base stat item script altogether, and I went through and I changed whatever inherited it, so our potions, our equipment, and all that stuff. You can see base potion and stuff. It used to inherit a base stat item, and I just said no, it inherits an item type. So now it's a little easier to, or now that it's more combined, so our base item is larger, it has all of our stats in it, and it also has a name, description, and ID. So anyways, go ahead and do that if you feel like it. If not, do it some other time. But I just want to let you guys know I did change that. I did get rid of the base stat item, and I added it just to our base item because all of our items anyways used all those properties. So it's pointless to have that extra script. At least that was my opinion. But anyways, we're gonna jump in and start doing some database stuff. And basically, the reason why I'm doing this now is I've gotten a lot of questions, messages, and comments regarding it. How do I create one? What's the point of having an item ID or spell effect ID if we're just randomly creating that ID? We'll get multiple or duplicate IDs if we do that, and that's true. So I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to create a way and show you guys how to create an item database. In this case, I'm going to be using an XML database, XML file that's going to store all the information. You don't have to use XML. You can use a different type of way to store it, like JSON strings if you want. But I think XML is going to be easy. You can use it on mobile platform if you want as well. And it's easy to edit in either like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access. You can edit it right in MonoDevelop. You can edit it in Notepad. You can edit it in any, I think, Open Office program can do it. Basically, it's pretty easy to edit. That's the other reason why I liked it. I guess the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick is the live stream. I will be live streaming on August 24th, 2014. So if you're watching this video much later date, then it's going to be released. Sorry you missed it. But basically, I just wanted to reiterate that if you miss the live stream, don't worry. I will post either all the recorded video, or I'm going to make some highlighted videos and post those on YouTube so you guys can watch them and catch up to where we are. The plan right now for the live stream, if you haven't watched the announcement video, is to work on the turn-based combat system. We're going to design some of it together, and then I'm going to start coding it with you all, and then I'll be answering all your questions, or try to answer most of your questions if you have any. But enough of me talking about all that stuff. We're going to go ahead and start getting started on our database. Actually, I'm going to need to open back up our base item because there's a few things in it that we need. So basically, I have gone ahead and created an XML file. It's right here. You can go up to File, you can go New, File, select the folder. I'll just show you real quick. Go ahead, New, File. I created an empty XML file here. I named it and I added it to my project. In Unity, you can go ahead and see it. I believe here it is. It's just I haven't put it in a folder yet. I'll probably drag it in the items folder. Go ahead and do that now. Also created a script called RPG Item Database. It's a C# script. Go ahead and create one. It does not need to be called that. You can call it whatever you want. The item database, again, you can call that whatever you want. I think MonoDevelop's going to close them out. It did. I'm going to reopen them. Once you create the XML file and C# file, go ahead and open them up in Model Develop, and we can get started on them. The first thing we're going to look at is an XML file. The XML file works with tags. Basically, this is like a tag, right? You can call it, and then it has Model Develop adds a close tag for you, which is just the caret and then the backslash. I guess that's /. Oh shit, I don't want that. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a script that's going to run through this and add all these items to a dictionary. A dictionary is a type of, I guess, a data structure that's in C#. The most of the time inventories are used. Most people on the internet and that have made YouTube Unity videos either use a list to store items or a dictionary to store items. A list is good to store items that you're going to access a lot and stuff. A dictionary is nice because you can add tags to it. So basically, I don't want to say two-dimensional, but basically you can say you can add an items tag, like an item name tag, and then in that same slot in the dictionary you can add whatever the item's name is. So like when you go to search, you can search for an item's name specifically. With a list, it's not as easy to do that. You can store the whole item, but then you're going to have to sort through each item. So anyways, I think a dictionary is a little more organized for that. But I've done both. I've used dictionaries and I've used lists. So definitely check them out on the Microsoft website and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So we're going to go ahead and create an item tag. You can go ahead and call it item. Went ahead and added that for me. And then the first thing we're going to go ahead, I'm going to be super simple and we're just going to do a description and item ID. So we're going to do our name, description, and ID for now. And actually we'll probably do item types because that's useful. I can show you how to parse an enumeration. So maybe we'll just do item name, ID, and types because the description is going to act exactly like the string. Okay? Hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. So next thing, you're going to add another tag. We're going to go item name. And then for this, we're going to go ahead and do test. Well, actually, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and you want to put the the name. It doesn't need to be in quotes, but it needs to be inside the carets. So I'm going to go ahead and do test item. And then under that, you're going to go ahead and do item, what do we want to call it? Item ID. Like that. And we're going to go ahead and call this 1. And then the next, we're going to go ahead and add, what did I say? The enumeration, which is item type. Oh, come on, do it for me. There we go. And item types, if you look, go ahead and go back to our base item. We used equipment, weapon, scroll, and potion chest. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste weapon. You want it to be, if you didn't capitalize your enums, which like I said before, you don't have to, but go ahead and copy. Make sure that they're capitalized in the database, just so it doesn't cause problems later. I did have a thought. Just when I was looking at this, or thinking about just talking to you guys, if you want to create random items in your game, but you also want to have specific items, and you want to keep the item ID on your randomly generated items, what you can do is either create the item ID as a string and set it so that when it's randomly generated, you add an R to it or something, and then that will allow you to expand. You don't have to do that. You can add like a 1 and then a random number, and then if it starts with a 1 that's randomly generated or something. To keep it an integer, or if you can add a string, add an R. And if you add a string, it could be a lot bigger. You can have hundreds, millions of combinations with the alphabet and numbers. That's just a thought. Anyways, we're going to jump back in our database. And basically this is the structure of an item. We've encapsulated an item in these tags, and it basically has a name, an ID, and a weapon. And that's the database. It's super, super simple. I'm going to go ahead and control S to save, and we're going to jump in our RPG item database script. Hopefully you get that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and show you this in Microsoft Access because I have it open. I have created a table here, and basically you can go ahead and edit these fields if you want, which I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead. and label this item name. You can go ahead and add a field, I think it is. Let's see, field, insert field here. I don't know why, text. Okay, so if you have Microsoft Access, I've just opened up a blank table, which is a blank database structure basically, and you can actually export this once you create it all to a file. So I'm going to go ahead and do item ID. I'm going to call this one item type. I'm just going to show you real quick how this works. You can go ahead and drag, a little finicky, you can go ahead and drag it here. We don't need to mess with that one. We'll go ahead and change item name. So it's not going to let me change item name. You have to go in design view, which is, I think if you right click table and go to design view. We're going to call this items. Here you go. I don't know why. I'm going to go ahead delete. We don't want that as a primary key. Going to go ahead and delete this. I don't know what's going on right now. Delete rows. Yeah. I have screwed this up. So. Anyways, I don't know what in the world I just did. Okay. So basically, anyways, you create fields. Okay, you create fields. You have your item type, item name, and I'm going to just drag it here first. You can edit item name, you can edit item ID, you can edit the type, and you can basically plug in everything we did here in Model Develop. You can, all this is under items, so you put your item name, test item 1, and weapon into Microsoft Access here. You can plug the name here, you can plug the item ID, and then, so on and so forth. And then what you can go ahead and do is when you export, you can right click items, export it to an XML file. And you can just XML it or export it, to your Unity project. But we're going to work in Model Develop because it's done and it's working. There we go. And Control S to save after you get an item. I'm going to do another item here. If you want multiple items, you go ahead and just copy and paste it. You can change it. We're going to call this test item 2. Give it an ID of 2, and we're going to give it a weapon tag as well. Now, we're going to work on our database, and the first thing you need to do is we're going to need to include some more libraries. So we're going to go ahead and include an IO library, a collections.generic library, and an XML library. So you're going to go using system.collections.generic, and you're going to go using system.xml, using system, I believe, and it's IO. So this just lets us use a few more libraries to access a few more like types. And so now we're going to work on creating a few public variables, and we're going to work on our read items function. So the first thing you do is go ahead and create a public variable. We're going to call this a text asset, and it's going to be our inventory. So I'm going to go just call item inventory. I'm going to use lowercase item inventory. You can call this whatever, and in the project I referenced earlier, I said I have a town shop. I actually called it the town shop inventory, so it can be whatever you want. You can go ahead and create a public static, and this is going to be a list of type list, which we haven't used before, and this is the data structure I was talking about. And then we're going to use a base item. This is the type of list it's going to be. You can have several different, you can have all kinds of different types of lists, but we're going to use a base item type list, meaning we can store base items in this list. And we're going to call this inventory item, item inventory. And we're going to set that equal to a new list, and it's of, excuse me. Don't forget your parentheses open and close, and it's going to be of base item again. So you've seen this code before. We'll call it item. We'll call it inventory items. I already used that name. I didn't catch that. But anyways, you've seen this type of thing before. We're basically creating a new instance of this list that is of type base item. We're also going to create a couple private variables. We're going to create a private dictionary, and it's going to, well, we're going to create a list, and it's going to store a dictionary, or of a type dictionary. And a dictionary, this one's going to take 2 strings. Again, if you have never used a dictionary, go ahead and check it out. We're going to call this item inventory items dictionary, and we're going to set this equal to a new list. I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste this like that, and then add one more variable. We're going to call it a private dictionary. Actually, we can go ahead and just copy that, and we're going to call this a let's see, what do we want to call this? We'll call it inventory dictionary. You can call these whatever you want. These are just for use, you know, why we're doing it. So basically what we need to do is go into Unity, and it's going to compile that script. We're going to go ahead and drag our RPG item database onto the main camera. And so it allows us to attach our inventory. So you can grab this item database, this XML file, bam, attach it to that. So when we go ahead and press play, you know, we can access it. Jump back into MonoDevelop, and we're going to edit, or we're going to create a private function. We're going to make it public, void, and we're going to call this read items from database. So a few things we need to do is we need to create an XML document, and we're going to call it XML document, XML document, and then we're going to set it equal to a new instance of an XML document, so new XML document. Oh. Bam, like that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to load it. So you go XML. This is why we need the XML library up above. So you go XML document dot load XML. And what is it called? Well, we called it our item database. So you go, actually no, we set it to a text file. So up here you just go item inventory dot text. Control S to save, and now we're going to do XML node list, and it's called item list, and we're going to set that equal to the XML document dot get element by tag name, and the tag in this case is item. So if you didn't, so this tag it's referring to is this tag. If you didn't use that tag, don't worry. Just make sure whatever this tag is for your database is this tag. Okay, so I don't know, maybe you have material is your tag, like you have a database of material items, it's called material, then your tag probably will be material. If you're using item, if you're following along verbatim, then you're going to use item. And just so you know, it's this tag. It's like the first tag that encapsulates the rest of it. Okay, that's what this tag here is. So that's what it's going to start looking for. And the next thing we're going to do is create a for each loop. So we're going to go for each, and we're going to go for each XML node item info in item list. We're going to do a few things. So basically what this is doing, it's going to run through our item, the XML document, it's going to look for item tag, the tag name element, and it's going to scroll through it. And we're going to go ahead and do XML node list. We're going to call item content. You can change these around. I'm going to go ahead and explain what this is in just a second. Child node. Okay, and we're gonna grab that inventory dictionary string that we created up here. This one, this guy. We're gonna go ahead and grab that, and we're gonna set that equal to a new dictionary, like that. Now, what this is doing, this for each loop is gonna go in, and it's gonna create a dictionary for each tag that's in item. So it's going to create a dictionary of type string. We're going to store that dictionary in a list. And so what we're doing is we're creating a database that's going to, for a test item, or from item name, we're going to have a tag in the dictionary that's going to store test item. That's why we have two strings. So what this loop is doing, it's literally going to grab that content from this main. It's going to go look at this tag. It's going to look at the node. In this case, our first node is item name. And it's going to store that into the first string in our dictionary, and then in the second string, it's going to grab what it actually is, so the name. So let's see. So basically, the dictionary object, if you looked at it, would say item the name. Once we pulled it, test name. I think that, or test item, I think we call it, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, it's this little loop is running through your entire database. It's looking at every single item under every single tag under item. In this case, it's called a node, and it's looking at that node. It's going to save the name of that node, and it's going to save whatever that node equals. So in this case, the node is called item name, and it equals test item. So it's going to save those two in a dictionary, and then we're going to store it in a list, and that list is going to be what you can read and see in game, or access in game. Hopefully that explains it enough. If not, I apologize. Now, we're not done doing all this. The next thing we got to do is actually store the item content, which is which is this child node. So we're going to create another for each loop, and we're going to go XML node, and we're going to call this content, and it's going to be in the item content. So basically, this is looking for what's in this node. What's in test? This looks for the item name tag, and then this is going to look for what's item name is equal to. So in this case, it's equal to test item or test item 1 or whatever you have in your game. And now this is going to be a switch case. So we're going to do content dot name, and this is the name of the content, and this is where all of our cases are going to be, and this is what all your tags are going to be. So the first one is item name. Okay, and then we have multiple cases. I'm going to go ahead and do all the cases real quick. We're going to do case item name, and it's item ID. Okay, and then we'll do one more case, and it is item type. Right? Okay, and so now what we're going to do is in our inventory dictionary, we're going to store this content. So you're going to go inventory dictionary.add, and you're going to store the name. So you're going to go item name, and then you're going to go content dot inner text. So now we're actually adding, I'm going to go ahead and copy this so I don't have to retype it. Now we're actually adding the information to the dictionary. So if you have 1,000 things in your base item, this is where you're going to need to add them. In our case, we actually have a lot. We have a description we still need to add, and stamina, endurance, intellect, overpower. All this stuff needs to be added to this this for each loop, so it can retrieve it and store it in the dictionary. To save time and stuff, I'm not going to do that because it's just a lot of work and effort that is not necessary right now to get the point across. But I just want to get you guys to be able to, have a working database. So the last thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to add this dictionary that we created to the main dictionary that we're calling the inventory dictionary. Or yeah, the inventory items dictionary, the larger one, this one. It's basically a list. So you're going to go ahead and go inventory items dictionary dot add, and you're going to go ahead and add the inventory dictionary like that. Okay, so to run through everything one more time, hopefully I'm explaining it well enough. We created this public method. It's called read items from a database, or read items from database. And what this public method is doing is it's creating an XML document, We're loading the XML document. In this case, it's this text file called item inventory, because that's basically what a database is, or an XML file is, just a text file. So we're calling this, and remember we dragged and dropped our XML file to this text document up there. So we did that. So we're creating it, we're loading it, and then we're creating an item list, and we're creating the list based on this tag called item. And that tag is this tag, so it doesn't need to be called item, it can be called whatever you have called it. And then we're running through this list, however long it is, we're running through the database, and we're grabbing each child tag of item, and we're adding that to the dictionary, and then we're going to add whatever it equals. So if item name equal, hunter's bow, then it's going to store that under or in that slot in the dictionary. It's going to go item name hunter sword, item ID 1, item type weapon. That's how it does it, and it does it for every single item you have. And after it grabs the first item, it's going to store it in our giant list we have here that's made up of dictionaries. And then once it stores it, it's going to run through, and it's going to do that for every single list or every single item in that list. So now that we've done that, we've added a database. We've added a way to read the items. I'm going to go ahead and check to see. I forgot to add our break functions, or break code. So after this, you're going to go ahead and do break. Make sure you add it after all your cases, otherwise it can't fall through like that error was saying. So now that works. So what we want to do is, since this is inheriting from auto behavior, it's attached to a game object, we can go ahead and use void start and void awake. We're going to go ahead and do this on awake, and we're going to go ahead and call this function. So we're going to go read items from database, and we're going to make a for loop, and we're going to go int I is equal to 0, and we're going to go I is less than our inventory. It's not finding it. I'm going to go ahead up here. It's this inventory items dictionary. We're going to go ahead and paste it there. Dot length or dot count, like that. And we're going to go increase I for every time it runs the loop. And in here, we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to add everything to our list. In this case, our inventory items list. So you can go inventory. I don't know why it's not. Oh, because I misspelled inventory. That's why. Inventory items dot add, and we're going to go ahead and add a new base item from our inventory item. See, why wouldn't I find that one? That's my question. From our inventory items dictionary. From our I index, and that's our for loop. And then we're going to go ahead under this. We're going to go. Should be fine. I think that's all we want. Yeah. So what this is doing is, when this script starts, we're going to go ahead and on awake. Remember, awake starts before the start function, right? So awake, everything runs in awake first, and then whatever's in your start function will run your start method function. Sorry. So what it's going to do, it's going to read our database file, and it's going to capture all these items that we have stored there. It's going to capture all the information in. It's going to store it in a giant list. It's going to store it in a dictionary, or a list of dictionaries. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run through that dictionary list of dictionaries, and we're going to actually add all those items to this static inventory items list that can be used anywhere in your program. You can access it. It's going to create one of them. That's what the static means, right? There's going to be one of these throughout your entire program. This is going to add each item from the dictionary at this index point. So if this points to 0, it's going to grab the very first item. In our case, it's the test item 1 in weapon, or the test item, it's ID of 1 and type weapon. I'm going to control S to save. I'm going to go into Unity, make sure we don't have any errors, and it looks like we do. And this is coming from one issue that we never touched on. We can touch on now, and that's because we don't have a. Actually, let me see how long we're at. we're about 30 minutes, so I'm actually probably going to end the video here. But basically what we're going to do, and I'll start it real quick, to maybe you guys can, kind of like a homework assignment, you can go ahead and work on this. But we're going to go ahead and create a public method. It's going to be called base item. And the reason why we can do this in here is because we're not actually, we're not returning anything, and so we don't need to include void. And it's because it's a base item. It's this function name or method name, excuse me, is the same as our class name. You can go ahead and do this without the void or returning a type. And this is actually going to take a dictionary type, and we're going to need to go ahead and using system.collections.generic so we can access the dictionary. I'm going to go to our database, and I'm actually just going to copy this dictionary string. Go ahead and copy and paste that. Go ahead and copy it. And then in here, we're going to go ahead and paste it. I think, does it need two of these? Ah, what's going on? That should be it. Yeah, okay. So what are you going to do? Sorry for that. I don't know, my screen bugged out there for a second. But anyways, what you're going to do with this is you're going to actually, this is where you're going to assign the name. You're going to look at the type. We're sending, this inventory.add items, we're calling new base item, and it's sending a dictionary with an index value. And what we need to do here is go ahead and say what that is. You need to assign each variable to it. I think. Oh, I need to give this a name. We're going to call this items dictionary. Sorry. So basically, you would go items dictionary, or you would go item name is going to be equal to items dictionary dot, I think it's dot key. I think it's dot keys, and then you go a string, and you're going to go ahead and get item name. That. Is it not keys? I'm trying to remember, sorry. Dot. Go ahead and check. It might be. Yeah, it contains key. Right? So what you're doing, this is how you access. So in our database, and this is where I'm going to end the video here. In our database, we are calling a function within our base item script that we just created, and we're sending that function or that method a dictionary, not a whole dictionary, but a object within a dictionary, and that object is going to have to be created into an item. So what you have to do is say item name, which is this private variable up here. Item name is going to be equal to the dictionary that we're sending it, dot get contains key, and whatever this key is, so item name, right here in our XML database, it's going to point to that, and it's going to say, okay, whatever that item name is, so in this case test item, we're going to store it as item name. And then it's going to do item ID, and then it's going to do the enum, and whatever else you have in your item. So hopefully you understand. If not, write in the comments below, and I'll try my best in the next video to explain more. In the next video, we'll go ahead and finish this up and probably add some new items to the inventory. Please, I hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something. Like, subscribe, comment, leave your feedback. It's always good to hear from you guys. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Hey guys, real quick, I just wanted to, after I record the video, I did some checks, and I wanted to not leave you guys in too bad of a spot with some errors that we're going to have with the code that we've added. So real quick, just to correct you, go ahead and, it's not contains key, I thought it was, but basically you do items dictionary and then you do brackets with the string of whatever the tag you want. So in this case, it's item name item equals item dictionary here, and then the tag to like where you put it. If you want an integer, you go ahead and do item. What is it? Item ID, and you set that equal to an int.parse, and it's going to be, we're going to parse the dictionary. In this case, it's item dictionary, and you parse it for whatever you called it. So in this case, we called it a item ID, right? You can check that in the database. Here we have item ID is 1, and then I'll go ahead and do the enum so you guys can work on this on your own time. You know, again, I don't like leaving you guys stranded. Looks like we have item type. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy and paste that. We're gonna set the equal to a int dot. Oh no, it's a string. It's an item types dot parse. I believe that's what you do. Yeah. So you go item types, and then you do system.enum.parse. And so what this is going to do, type of base item dot item types, and then it takes a value, and this is where you go ahead and do your dictionary. So what is this? Item dictionary brackets. What would be item type dot toString just like that. So what we're doing here is we're looking for the name under item type. We're looking for the ID, and we're parsing it as an integer, and then we're going to look for item type, and we're parsing that from an enum of type item types, and we're getting it from our dictionary, and we're making sure we're saying it's a type of we're saying it's a type of item types. Hopefully you understand that. I didn't want to leave you guys with too many errors. If you jump into Unity, we do have a few, and that's because of our base equipment, base potion, base scroll, base weapon scripts, and I will definitely have to cover that in the next video. But hopefully you can get yourselves over till then. keep your projects moving until that next video. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys next time.